Yes, I read that Castillo calls himself. Oh man, it's some term. It's the I can't find it here, but it's the term you're talking about, where it's an ethno-nationalist.
Something like that.
What they say in English.
Funny because for the right wing, Castillo looks like this guy from the Andes, okay? But Castillo is from a town in the Andes called Cajamarca, and he would dress up like with the hat of the guys who ride horses,
like the rancher hat. He's got the
like a rancher hat, and he likes bullfighting, and he likes and he's religious, but not like with evangelical. So he's basically like the product of colonialism, but just not white colonialism.
Right. That's the tricky part. I mean, who were the colonialists?
Well, so much of this whole thing, I mean, Kaplan and I were talking before we went into there. So much of it is hard to wrap your head around as if being as someone from the United States, because no one fits into the box that we're used to. We're used to the box being like Bernie Sanders. He's possibly he's a socialist, right? But he also that also means that he thinks that you should be able to have an abortion if you want to, and gay rights and all that stuff. But this guy's a socialist, but is against gay rights, is against abortion. He's an old school communist. I mean, as we said last week, he's a Che Guevara type communist. He hates gay people.
This guy doesn't do his pronouns in his Twitter bio. I don't.
Yeah, there's university. I think we read a thing from Smith College in America, which is a very liberal university, and they're very upset at him for his gender normative way of thinking. And it's like, well, first of all, he's a farmer in like rural Peru. I don't think he's going to be. You can't expect him to be like highly educated on pronouns and care.
No, and actually, we don't do that here because it's funny, the pronoun thing, because in Peru, that battle is being fought on another ground. Basically, we don't assign gender to articles in Spanish.
Yes.
We assign them to So it's funny. What they do here is they change the letter O, which is usually masculine. A is feminine.
Yeah.
So they change it for an E. So instead of todos, which is all of us but in masculine, or todas, which is all of us in feminine, they say todes, which is undefined.
Really?
What about X? They don't do X?
Yeah, in America they do an X.
LatinX.
In the United States.
That LatinX is one of the funniest things I've ever.
LatinX.
The thing is that you guys got to understand that when in the U.S., when some people, when they talk about Latino culture, they're talking about
Excuse me. Latinx culture.
Yes, don't get us in trouble.
It's just like when they say that, it's they're talking about the Latinx or Latinos that live in the U.S.
Of course.
It has nothing to do with us.
Of course we know that, but doesn't make them feel good.
Smith College does not know that.
What makes Smith College feel good is to tell you how you're supposed to talk in your language.
I know.
And she's in a real pickle, the Smith College person, because it's like she's going to support there's a female running, right? Glass ceiling and all that. But the female is a right-wing dictator sympathizer. And then you got this guy. He's a socialist, which we like. And but he's talking in gender normative terms. So I don't know what she's going to do.
The thing is that, and the thing with Castillo is that is right now he's pretty undefined. That's how I feel about him, for example, because until a few weeks ago, it was like, okay, this guy's a communist, and I hate Fujimori, but I don't want to live in the communist regime.
Yeah.
So what am I going to do, right? So at this point, the thing is that Castillo has given a few interviews because he's running away from the main press. He gives interviews to like media from outside Lima because he's 20% in the polls. Keiko is 20. Actually, Keiko's not second in the polls. How do you call it? Like the white vote or not voting?
Like writing in?
You cannot vote. You mean like you can choose
just
to not
go
vote.
and write whatever you want.
Because you have to vote, we discussed last time. Yeah.
That's second in the polls. Right now, you got Castillo with 40, no one with 26, and Keiko with 21. Something
wow.
Like
why don't they go with no one? You can't impeach no one.
Yes.
Like no one president.
That's the best chance.
It's like the Oscars, Kaplan.
Yeah. The inanimate rod is.
There's no host.
There's no host, exactly.
You should get Kevin Hart to run. Kevin Hart should be no one.
Kevin Hart could run.
Yeah. So how did we get here? Is the economy? How did we get here in the sense that the only two options are so far out to either side.
Yeah.
Is it because the economy's bad and this is a reaction against?
Actually, the economy has been like better than ever for the last 30 years. Okay. Better than ever. The thing is that we have so much corruption here, and the political the environment has degraded so much that you have many people have made a lot of money, but some people have made none. So basically, the thing is that when these people say like we're gonna be like Venezuela, there's a lot of people in Peru that already live like in Venezuela. So for them, it's like you're gonna lose everything that we've gained. It's like I've gained nothing, man.
You don't have anything.
So yeah, and the thing is that for years, every time like a center party came out, they would call him left wing. It's like if you had like a socialist, a guy that said like maybe we should just like try to give people a little bit more. This is like, oh, so you were a communist.
Oh, they do that.
So,
yeah.
Basically in Peru, everything which is left from the far right is seen as the far left, and it is not. So it's like the boy who cried wolf, basically.
Yes.
Eventually, if you don't give in, because at the last time we spoke, I told you there was the candidate on the first round, which was like Trump, and it's like the answer of our right wing is like people demand that you move a little bit to the center, so they push a guy who is like Trump. It's like
that Rafael Lopez. Is that who that was?
Gas into the fire, you know.
Yes.
And there's a lot of people that make $300 a month. They can't barely live now with the pandemic. I mean, they've lost everything. We have like Lima has almost 10 million people out of 30 out of work after the pandemic. So yeah, it's pretty dramatic. So the thing is that this guy says on one side you got Keiko with this TV spot saying like we don't want communism, we don't want to lose it all, you're gonna risk everything, it's Peru against communism. And then this other guy just throws like an ad with some poor people working and a poem, a very beautiful poem in the end, and says like these are the nobodies, and they're not even worth the value of the bullet that kills them when they defend what's their own, things like that. So you got one guy selling hope, and the other one
to
selling
certain people.
So basically, people go with hope.
But do you think, like, because he's talked about like nationalizing like the natural gas
he gonna do?
and research and copper, and is that something he could actually accomplish though, or without having?
I mean, not really, because he would have. There's not many ways he can do that. He would have to have the support from Congress, which he doesn't. Or another way would be that he would have the support from the military, which he doesn't have either. So
he has 30 seats in Congress out of 130, and he has no military support.
And he doesn't even have the support of the people that could also help, like when we overthrew Merino, which was that president that lasted a week. He came up and he had the military, he had some of the media, but he didn't have the people. So just people came out and he lasted a week.
You need the military.
So this guy's going to last like 20 minutes.
Probably. And also, he's already saying that he's not going to do all those things. So it's like, no. Whoever made a company, build a company from scratch, I'm not going to take that from you. I'm not going to touch anything. If the people don't want to change the Constitution, I won't change the Constitution.
Oh.
So he's
walked back some of the things that have been used to attack him, basically.
Yeah, and he would attribute them to Cerrón, which is like the ideal. Cerrón is like the Steve Bannon of the whole thing.
Right, the bad cop.
Like Bannon for Trump, Cerrón is for Castillo.
But is Cerrón gonna make him do these things though? Is he really in charge, or this guy is independent enough that he can?
Can he fire Cerrón?
Yeah.
I mean, if Cerrón doesn't even have a place there. I mean, he's not running for anything. He's just the guy who created the party that's giving him the Congress. Yeah. The Congress. So. In practice, I mean, in reality, he doesn't have any power.
So if you had to bet, where would you make it like a 50-50 bet? We say over under in America, but like 6 months? Do you think he'll last more than 6 months as president?
I really don't know, because I mean, the only thing I've learned in this country is that we are absolutely unpredictable. But the thing is that I think that would be one of the best case scenarios.
6 months would be good.
6 months would be good. Some peace and quiet without